Throughout history, myths, legends, and stories have shaped the way we perceive monsters today. From the monstrous beings of ancient folklore to the fearsome creatures in modern cinema, many of our contemporary monsters are inspired by legendary animals and mythical creatures. These mythical figures were often rooted in cultural beliefs, natural phenomena, and human fears. Let's dive into the top 10 creatures that have inspired modern-day monsters. The first creature that has inspired countless modern-day monsters is the dragon. A central figure in mythologies from cultures all over the world, dragons are perhaps the most iconic of all mythical creatures. Whether it's the fire-breathing dragon from European legends or the serpentine dragons from Chinese mythology, these creatures embody power, destruction, and a primal fear of the unknown. The idea of a massive winged beast that can breathe fire was adapted into various modern monsters, such as the terrifying creatures in Game of Thrones or the prehistoric kaiju monsters like Godzilla. Next, we have the vampire, a figure that has evolved from folklore into one of the most pervasive supernatural beings in popular culture. Originating from Eastern European legends, the vampire was typically depicted as a creature that could rise from the grave to suck the blood of the living. This concept was influenced by real fears of disease and death, particularly the spread of the plague. The image of the vampire as an immortal, bloodthirsty creature has been reimagined in various forms, from the terrifying Count Dracula in literature to the sleek and seductive vampires in films like Twilight or Interview with the Vampire. The idea of creatures that thrive on human blood with supernatural strength and immortality has inspired a host of terrifying monsters in horror fiction. The werewolf is another creature deeply ingrained in folklore, dating back to ancient Greece and continuing through to medieval European tales. These shape-shifting beasts, typically depicted as men who transform into wolves during the full moon, symbolize the darker side of human nature. Werewolves embody the fear of losing control and the struggle between civilization and the wild. This fear of monstrous transformation has influenced countless werewolf-themed stories in modern media, from The Wolfman to Teen Wolf, each exploring themes of identity, control, and the human-animal connection. Then there's the Kraken, the legendary sea monster that emerged from Scandinavian folklore. Descriptions of this monstrous creature vary, but it is often depicted as a giant, tentacled creature, capable of dragging entire ships under the waves. The fear of the Kraken likely stemmed from the mysterious and dangerous nature of the open sea. Today, the Kraken has evolved into a symbol of ancient oceanic horrors, and is often referenced in modern films and games, most famously in Pirates of the Caribbean, where the beast terrorizes sailors with its massive tentacles. The mummy is another iconic creature born from ancient myth and legend, particularly rooted in the burial practices of ancient Egypt. The mummies that were buried with the belief that they would live on in the afterlife became a source of both fascination and fear for later generations. The concept of the mummy, an embalmed, undead entity, was first popularized in Western culture after the discovery of King Tutankhamun's tomb in the 1920s. The idea of an ancient, cursed being returning to life has continued to inspire modern stories, notably in films like The Mummy, where mummies rise from the dead to wreak havoc. Similarly, the zombie has become a fixture in modern horror, but its roots can be traced back to Haitian voodoo and African traditions. In these cultures, the zombie was not a flesh-eating monster, but rather a person who had been resurrected through magical means, often as a slave to a master. Over time, the zombie evolved in popular culture, especially with the influence of movies like Night of the Living Dead. Modern zombies are characterized by their insatiable hunger for human flesh. serving as a metaphor for societal collapse, disease, and fear of dehumanization. The Gorgon, most famously embodied by Medusa, has inspired many of today's monster designs. In Greek mythology, the Gorgons were terrifying creatures with snakes for hair, whose gaze could turn anyone who looked at them into stone. Medusa, the most well-known Gorgon, became a symbol of both feminine power and danger. The Gorgon's ability to petrify its victims has influenced the design of creatures in horror and fantasy, from the monstrous characters in Clash of the Titans to the deadly beings in Percy Jackson. Another creature that has inspired the modern monster genre is the Yeti, or the abominable snowman. This cryptid, said to live in the snowy mountains of the Himalayas, has been a part of the folklore in Nepal and Tibet for centuries. The Yeti represents the fear and fascination with the unknown wilds of the earth, particularly the icy, uncharted regions of the world. Its legacy as a monstrous creature has been cemented in pop culture, inspiring films, books, and expeditions. The Yeti has often been portrayed as a large, ape-like creature similar to Bigfoot, blending the fear of the unknown with the possibility of undiscovered life. The Chupacabra is a creature that emerged from Latin American folklore, particularly in Puerto Rico. The Chupacabra is typically depicted as a reptilian or canine creature with sharp teeth, known for draining the blood of livestock. The fear of this creature arose during a series of mysterious animal deaths in the 1990s, and it quickly became a symbol of the fear of supernatural creatures lurking in the night. Modern depictions of the Chupacabra, while varied, maintain its terrifying image as a bloodthirsty predator. Lastly, the witch is a figure that has inspired countless monsters, both in folklore and modern horror. Originating from European witch trials, witches were often believed to be in league with the devil, capable of transforming into animals, casting curses and causing misfortune. While modern portrayals of witches, like in Harry Potter or The Witch, have humanized or romanticized the figure, the witch still represents the fear of the supernatural and the unknown. The image of the witch has inspired many other monstrous characters who wield dark magic or possess otherworldly powers. These creatures, with their roots in ancient mythology and folklore, have left a lasting legacy on modern monster mythology. They continue to evolve and inspire fear, serving as both symbols of our deepest anxieties and as a reflection of humanity's eternal fascination with the unknown and the supernatural. Whether in literature, film, or folklore, these 10 creatures have shaped the monsters of today, each one adding a new layer to the rich tapestry of horror and mythology that continues to captivate us.